So this was Ivan playing black and Garvin playing white. So not a huge mistake, but usually you play the iron pillar here, Garvin, and the reason for that is it's a little bit stronger of a shape and there's less weakness. If you play here, this move at h17 is kind of the key I shape move for white here. Whereas if you have just the iron pillar to begin with and then black plays here, you can get a little bit more of a severe attack on this stone. And the reason why I say this is the I shape move is because if white plays on top, black can either extend out or connect back to its friend over here. Whereas if you have the stone here and then white plays here, there's only one place for black to run. It's like this. Black can't try to connect back underneath because white would be able to cut it off. So not a huge mistake, but just something to be mindful of. So usually when your opponent kicks, you just stand up. All okay so far? So 04 is a little questionable. Why would you play 04? What's the idea behind it?
Trying to put pressure on that move.
You're trying to put pressure on the 03 stone?
Yeah.
So the problem with that is when you attach to a weak stone, because I think we can say that this stone at 03 is a little weak, right? You actually make it stronger. And that makes sense, right? If you have every time, if you attach to a weak stone, you put one move, they have one move, but they get to play first. So they have two moves to your one move, right? So now are you really putting pressure on it or are they putting pressure on your one stone? It's kind of hard to tell. Usually you'd play a move at 04 if you're trying to grab this side territory. The problem is you solidify black in the process. And so while you do make a little bit of influence here, black shape gets that much stronger and you lose out on the ability to invade here later on. So we want to be mindful. Attaching to a stone isn't necessarily an attack. In this case, it's actually strengthening your opponent. Your opponent played here, which I think is a bit of a mistake. I think that wedging here, breaking it up and separating these two stones is going to be really tough. If black plays here, white will be able to capture this stone. If black plays here, white will be able to potentially kill this entire group. So it gets really dicey. So I think I played correctly here. Let's see what happened next. So black played here. So this is okay. You could have gotten an even more severe attack by playing here. If black extends, you can capture this stone, and now these two stones over here are dead too. So black would have to play here, you capture, and black would have to add an extra move or two here in order to live. And so now white's gotten a really strong position on the outside, and black's only made a few points in the corner. So this would be a really good result for white. This is okay too, but I think it makes it a little bit easier on this black group. And you still have to deal with this cut at N4. So you come back and protect the cut. Good move. This is fine, but you really want to block here, right? Because this is where black's trying to steal your territory. This is the area that you've mapped out for yourself, Garvin. So blocking here doesn't really change much. It's only 1 point. We really want to be stopping black from getting further into our territory. And then you ended up coming back over here. Unfortunately, N2 is small, right? Because this black group is already alive. Are we really mapping out much territory with these three stones here? Not much, right? Again, our focal point should be on this side of the board because that's where we're kind of building up a framework. There's no framework with these three stones because black has the stone here that's stopping the territory. That makes sense?
Yes.
So this move by black was just unnecessary. Black's perfectly alive in the corner. So big move, very good. Okay. All this is good. I think black probably should stand up here. Probably black's sphere is getting pincered, but that's not that big a deal. There's a lot of room for black to run. The problem with extending here is now white gets a really nice move here, which will give white the entire corner and put a lot of pressure on these two stones. If you play here and white plays here, there's still a lot of Aji left in the corner. And so it's not quite clear if I mean, it's not white's territory yet. There's still a lot of weakness here. But after this move at S14, this is all white's. And not to mention how severe these two stones are. They don't have a base.
Little
again,
question for you on that
Yep.
corner right there.
Yep.
You say that it's not white's territory, and I see this in literally almost every single game I play. That formation that white has in the corner.
Mhm.
How can you live inside of it? I've tried a million times and I always die.
So there's a couple ways. You can just play lightly and something like this.
Oh.
So you can play 5. If white connects here, then you can just come in.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Yep. Okay.
Sorry.
Little tit for tat.
Yeah. So you it's not everything, but it's something.
Yeah. Okay. I see what you mean though.
And you can also just play here directly. If white blocks here, you can potentially attack either these two stones or these stones here.
Okay.
Having this stone at 3 is going to be very helpful.
All right.
You could do it without it. You could, potentially you could still, you could potentially still invade, but your 2 stones here are going to be that much weaker.
Okay.
Because they don't have that additional stone at N14.
Right.
Or
that
something
little
over
pillar
there.
to get out.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
So this is probably a mistake by your opponent too. I think your opponent is a little bit too much to worry about and needs to just block like this. I think that this would still be an okay result for black. Black would get territory here and be able to live okay. But I think that playing here is kind of dangerous, and it makes sense, right? Because you're allowing yourself to be cut off. And so I think that maybe I think your idea might have been good here. But actually your idea is great. Sorry. I apologize, Garvin. Your move is awesome.
Good job, Garvin.
I do still think the direct descent is better because it leaves less weakness. There is kind of a nice move for black here, which is just to Atari. And now something like this will happen. And so while this is still this is still an okay result for white, I think black ends up making out okay with this Panuki here and completely destroying any influence that this white group was trying to build up. So probably still better just to not create a second group for yourself by playing here and just push down and separate the 2 groups, because you'll be able to connect these 2 stones to either this group in the corner or your friends over here. So this is what happened in the game. Good. So there's a ladder. Unfortunately, it looks like the ladder is going to be good for black. So all these moves here, Garvin, are just not going to work. Garvin are just not going to work out. And so when that's the case, sometimes it's better just to sacrifice, give your opponent the move, and then play elsewhere. And so you'd still have a pretty playable game for yourself. But after losing these 5 stones, it's going to be really tough. And I think you saw that the ladder wasn't working for you, and that's why after this move you came back and tried to Atari. Probably better just to play here. It gives you a little bit more strength on the outside. If you play here, black can still cut here later on. Maybe black doesn't necessarily want to play it now, but something that you have to worry about. This is probably not that big. Again, white's pretty strong here. It's going to be hard for black to really attack this group. So if I were black, I would just I would probably play here and strengthen this stone. What you don't want to have happen is have this stone come under attack, right? You don't want this stone at K4 to become weak. And theory wise, we want to push our opponents into our strength, right? You're using your strength to push your opponents into your weakness. That's not what you want to do, right? If you have a friend who weighs 500 pounds you want to push them into the person who weighs 500 pounds. You don't want to push them to the person that weighs 100 pounds. So, kind of direction of play would want us to play in the way that pushes our opponents into our strength, as opposed to pushes our opponents away from our strength. Maybe a little small. I would probably be more focused on making some territory or attacking this stone here. Something like this would be good. White still gets to attack this group. This would be a nice way for white to play. Unfortunately, there's just not going to be any territory here. Ooh, definitely have to connect here. Once you play here, this group is almost dead, and these 3 stones are almost dead as well. There's a real shortage of liberties here, and so even though white would get this move here, it's going to be really hard to actually capture these 4 stones. Whereas black's group over here is super strong, white's group here is super weak. These stones in the corner are alive. These 3 stones are weak. So black only has 1 group to worry about, but white has 2 really weak groups to worry about. And the person with more groups to worry about is probably the one who's losing. How we do on time? Let's do another few minutes. Garvin, any questions on anything I said so far?
No.
Okay. And you see how this is going to be a tough fight for white, right? Where, white has this weak group here, these weak groups here, and black just has this one weak group to worry about. So no matter how you struggle here, it's going to be really tough. And playing here is also kind of dangerous because you're just creating another group for yourself that you have to worry about, and it's gonna be a little tough for white to win this race. I'm not really sure how white would come back from here.
Yeah, that's once you start going down that road.
Yeah.
I remember doing this exact same thing.
Yeah, it's kind of just hoping that something's gonna work.
Yeah.
But and after this, it's after this move at M3, these 5 stones are dead, these 3 stones are dead, these stones are dead. This group's not gonna be able to make 2 eyes. This would be game over.
Yeah.
And I think it came down to a little bit of the misreading the ladder here, and blocking on the wrong side. I think you definitely have to play at N4. You need to keep your groups connected. And the less groups you have, the easier it is going to be to live with all of them.
Tap that drawer. Keep your stones connected and try to separate your opponent's stones.